What's up? I'm Mike, and in this video, I'll be talking about my picks for the absolute best smartwatch on the market. Over the past couple years, I've tested basically every smartwatch on the market, and so today I want to show you my picks broken down by different categories. I don't want to do just like a 1 through 5 because, let's be honest, everybody has different needs. Some people prioritize like fitness and they want more accurate tracking. Some people prioritize the aesthetics. Some people prioritize battery life or apps. Like, there's so many different things people could want from a watch, but I want to give you that answer in this video, no matter who you are or what you're looking for in a watch. And at the end, I'll tell you my honestly kind of surprising choice that I made for my everyday watch. So I'm trying to give kind of a high level overview of all these watches, some of my favorite features of them, as well as some of the shortcomings. But of course, I do have a full review on every one of these. I'll link them down below, as well as links to the latest prices. So if you want to buy these for yourself or for somebody else as a gift, go on down and check out those links for the best prices. So we have 6 different categories in this video. Starting off, the first category is probably the most unique. A lot of people have not actually heard about this, and this is the best hybrid smartwatch. Essentially, a hybrid watch is going to be a full-blown smartwatch on the inside, tracking your heart rate, tracking your steps, doing, notifications, all that basic stuff you want from a smartwatch, but on the outside, giving you a more analog appearance, something that, for one, gives you a longer battery life because you don't have a display on all the time, and for two, it does look a little bit nicer depending on where you're going. I personally prefer to wear hybrid watches if I'm dressing up a little bit more, but I still want to track my steps or things like that. And so you can figure out where that would be for you. And there's some great ones out there. Of course, Fossil has one. Citizen, basically owned by Fossil, also has one. And the way those work is by having essentially an e-ink display. Think of like a Kindle display. So it's a slower refresh rate, but it can still show you a whole variety of different screens and do a lot under the hood. But for me, I want something that looks a little bit more premium even than that. And so my pick for the best hybrid smartwatch of the year is the Withings ScanWatch. This is just such a premium watch, but at the same time, it has a lot that it can do under the hood. Some really advanced health tracking, like an ECG, for example. Obviously, you've got your heart rate, your step tracking, your sleep tracking, although I very rarely wear a heavy watch like this to sleep. But you could swap out the bands and have a silicone band or a leather band, and maybe that's a little bit easier to sleep with. And there are several versions of the ScanWatch. There's the regular ScanWatch, there's ScanWatch Horizon, as you can see I have right here, and the second generation ScanWatch as well. And all of them give you a pretty fantastic battery life. It's about 30-ish days. And the way it works is by having a regular analog watch, but on the top, you have a little tiny display there. And that display is just enough to show you the date, to show you all the metrics about your heart rate, your workouts, how many steps you went up, your ECG. You can really interact pretty well with that. And then on the right side, the little crown that rotates, that's going to be how you navigate everything on that interface. And so, like I said, the other ones are great options too, but I've kind of noticed that I tend to wear this one the most when I want to dress up because I think it just looks the best, and it's also a really premium watch. Now, by the way, I'm working on some really exciting videos now, so if you're new here, be sure to go down and click the subscribe button so you don't miss it when those videos come out. Now, hybrid watches are great, but they're not for everybody, and one of the big shortcomings is that they don't actually have GPS on board, and if you're somebody that really cares a lot about, like, your main priority is training and fitness, and maybe you're running a marathon, maybe a triathlon, whatever it might be, the next category is going to be the one for you. This is the best sports smartwatch. So kind of defining what that is first, sports smartwatch is going to be a smartwatch so you can interact with it. You've got an assistant on there, like Google Assistant, for example. You can interact with notifications. You can do a lot of stuff like that, maybe see the weather. But at the same time, it's heavily focused on sports. That's really the primary thing. Training is going to be number one. And for me, the obvious choice here is the Garmin Venue 3. This is a watch that I've talked about a lot on this channel. It's very, very accurate with the GPS, with the heart rate, with basically everything it does. And being made by Garmin, you've got a lot of cool things on the inside. So for example, your body battery could indicate when you're overtraining or undertraining. There's also a recovery score on here to let you know when you're ready to push yourself again, and you can time races and things like that based on the recovery score. And of course, being made by Garmin, you're also getting a nice 7-day battery life on this watch. So I charge it up once a week, which allows me to actually genuinely track my sleep with this watch without having to charge it every single day. So the Garmin Venue 3, super solid choice. They do have some other options I'll link below that are a little bit more affordable than this one and do a lot of the similar stuff, but they kind of become less and less of a smartwatch and more of just a lower level sports watch. So the Venue 3 is a great choice in my opinion. But kind of tying in that idea with having a more affordable option, the best fitness band would be great for anybody who wants to wear a fitness tracker. You want to know like your steps and your heart rate and your sleep tracking, maybe take an ECG on here, body temperature trends. All the advanced stuff you used to only get from flagship smartwatches are now available on a little $160 fitness tracking band. And this is actually the Fitbit Charge 6. Like I said, it does everything that a regular smartwatch would do with regards to tracking, including GPS, but it's going to be a lot cheaper, it's going to be a lot smaller, it's going to be a lot more subtle, so if you don't want like a big screen on your wrist, this could be a good option for you. And one of the best parts about this is that you're also getting a really nice battery life on here. Again, approximately 1 week between charges, but of course the Fitbit Charge 6 is still not like a very, very cheap device. $160 is $160. So one of the other options I like to give as an alternative is the latest Mi Band. Of course, every year Xiaomi comes out with the new Mi Band. Right now we are on the Mi Band 8, and it's a solid device. You're able to track a lot with this. It's even smaller and more subtle, but also about half the price of the Fitbit Charge 6. So I recommend checking that out if you want something that's a little bit more affordable. This next category I'm calling the best for most people. And really what I mean by that is if somebody came up to me and I didn't know anything about them and they just said, hey, Mike, what watch should I get? Then this is going to be my answer. It's kind of like your safe bet. If you're getting a gift for somebody, it's a really easy bet. These are also a little bit more affordable than the flagships, and they tend to cover basically all the same stuff that the flagships do, just for a slightly lower cost. On iOS user, I would recommend getting the Apple Watch SE 2. The second generation Apple Watch SE does basically everything anybody would need from an Apple Watch. It's still very fast, even though it has an older chip on the inside. You probably wouldn't notice the difference. It does everything else. That's the same software you're seeing on the flagship Apple Watch Series 9, and the only limitations you're getting are really things that most people probably wouldn't care about. More tech enthusiasts would care about these. These are things like maybe an ECG, an always-on display, stuff like that. But for most people, I don't think that's going to be a real deal breaker. And I think saving approximately 40% on the price is going to give you it's going to be pretty appealing for a lot of people. But for Android users, my recommendation would be the Galaxy Watch 6, just a regular Galaxy Watch 6. I actually made a full video comparing all the different Galaxy Watches, and the Galaxy Watch 6 is very future-proof, has a really nice screen-to-body ratio. It's basically like the equivalent of an Apple Watch for Android users. They also have a lot of incredible features on here, like, for example, body composition to estimate your body fat percentage and your bone and muscle mass and all these different things. It's really quite impressive what they're able to do in such a nice, aesthetic, slim little watch. Now, this next category, you might laugh at this one. This is the best for non-Samsung Android users. But I know it sounds so specific, but I promise there's a reason I made this category. I didn't want to have to make this category, but essentially, for people that want everything out of their watch, if you're not a Samsung user and you're buying a Samsung watch, you won't get everything out of the watch. Like, they do withhold some features, for example, ECG, as well as quite a few others as well, that they only work when you pair that Galaxy Watch with a Samsung Galaxy phone. But if you want to get everything out of it, my recommendation is to buy a Pixel Watch 2nd generation, the Pixel Watch 2. Now, this watch has a really unique kind of pebble design. Google did their own thing here, and because they bought Fitbit, there's a lot of Fitbit on the inside of this as well, which gives you some pretty decent tracking. They really focused on improving that this year with more LEDs on the back for better heart rate tracking. In addition, even though there's not the best screen-to-body ratio, I think the way the UI kind of embraces that makes you forget that there is that black bezel around the outside. In addition, the fact that it kind of rolls off with that pebble design, I've never found it to be too intrusive when wearing this watch. And in fact, I actually really like the interface on here, arguably the best out of any Android watch out there. And then, I know we've kind of been dancing around this, the best of the best. My recommendation, the absolute best everyday smartwatch that I would recommend for Apple users, of course, is going to be the Apple Watch Series 9, which is no surprise. Last year, it was the Series 8. This year, we're getting some subtle improvements, some cool things like the pinch feature, as well as a slight speed improvement. But this is just, it's a known win. Like, if you get this watch, it's going to be a great watch. There's good tracking for heart rate and good tracking for GPS. The market of apps for Apple Watches is very well curated. They're very well designed because the Apple Watch is the best-selling smartwatch every single year. So it's no surprise that there's great support there. But for Android users, my recommendation is going to be the Galaxy Watch 6 Classic, which is such a unique and cool watch with a physical rotating bezel on the outside, as well as a really nice large display here, and just a classy looking watch. But don't be fooled by its classiness. This is also a very capable watch of tracking workouts with a GPS heart rate accuracy that is exactly on par with the more active version of the Galaxy Watch 6. And it's actually better then their even more active version, the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. So the Galaxy Watch 6 Classic is really a jack of all trades as far as Android watches go, and it crushes it. It does a great job. But now let's circle back to that question I posed in the beginning of this video of what is my choice for my personal watch that I wear every single day. The one that I always go back to as my default is kind of a weird choice. I'll admit, it's a weird one, and I don't know why I keep doing this, but it's actually the Garmin Venue 3. And I think the main reason is because I really like to, one, not have to charge my watch every single day, and two, I really like focusing a lot more on my personal health. That's one of the main reasons I wear a smartwatch, is to track my runs, to get great accuracy and get good insights onto when I'm ready to train and push myself harder, or when I should take an easier day. And even though this watch is not especially the best with integrating with my phone, like notifications are a little bit clunky, the voice assistant is also very, very clunky. There's not a whole lot of apps on here, but the fitness tracking just really does it for me, and it really goes a long way. But that's what I wear. Not everyone should be copying me on that one, unless, of course, you also have the same interests and needs as I do. So if you found one you like, consider going through the links in the description below. And if you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. I'm Mike O'Brien. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.